All right. So, hi everyone. It's a great pleasure to be able to speak to all of you. I'm Sita Peña Gangadharan. I'm an associate professor at the London School of Economics in the Media and Communications Department, and I'm also a co-lead of the Our Data Bodies project. And if I could just get an audio cue from someone that you can actually see my slides, that would be great.
We can see it.
Great. So I want to talk in the short time that I have about some work that I've been doing that I mentioned on our data bodies. And it's a way of talking beyond ethics and really thinking about pathways to social justice. And to get us started, let's see if I can multitask at the same time. Now that hold on. I'm gonna just ask if you could chat in a word that you would most associate with the idea of social justice. So go ahead, just type in your comments. What word do you associate with social justice? So I hear power, peace, equity, resistance, equity, fairness, BLM, equality, change, democratization. Great. So as these are coming in, I want to just say a few words about technology, democracy, and justice. As we know from the work that we do and public debate and discourse, we know that technology is not automatically democratic, that it has to be and it must be made democratic and just. This is an important, I think, idea that's been circulating in more recent years, especially with the rise of automated technologies, automated decision systems, AI. But the problem is that even the most democratically intended or justice-oriented designs can fall flat when they do not execute the task that they're designed to do. And I mention this partly because I think that we tend to focus in our conversations about ethics in a sort of closed system, right? We don't necessarily, we think about the technology, we think about designing for something, but we don't necessarily zone out into the larger context in which that technology is deployed or the context in which it's received or not well accepted. In a lot of the work that I've been doing over the years on automated decision systems, there's a big amount of attention that's paid to the idea of fairness. And fairness in machine learning systems, right? This is a slide that's taken from some fantastic research done at Berkeley on the credit system and the idea of an altruistic optimum, or trying to model for an altruistic optimum that benefits both users and private actors or corporations. But what I worry about when I see work like this and hear about the discourse on fairness or fairness, accountability, and transparency in machine learning systems is that it's not really thinking about where certain communities and certain populations are at with respect to technologies. It's still designing from above, from a sort of elite perspective, and not necessarily from the perspective of communities or populations that are already living at the intersection of social injustice, economic injustice, racial injustice. So in the work that I do with our data bodies, I'm in a group of 5 women of color. We're based in Los Angeles, Charlotte, North Carolina, Detroit, Michigan. We're a 5-member team. I'm based in London. My colleague, Kim Reynolds, is based in Cape Town. Somehow we bring it all together with Mariela in LA, Tawana in Detroit, and Tamika in Charlotte. And we're interested in the impacts of data collection and data-driven systems on the lives of marginalized people and their ability to meet their basic human needs. And over the last almost 5 years now, we've collected these incredible stories with ordinary people, everyday people that are living in really precarious situations, not easily getting by in their day-to-day living. And we've done a number of activities with these groups to really understand how they're interacting, how they're understanding, how they're experiencing technology, broadly speaking, and automated decision systems or data-driven systems more specifically. And what we found is that there's a sort of three-part kind of way in which people tend to be navigating these systems. And it really gels around this idea of refusal. And the reason for this is if you're living on the streets of Los Angeles on Skid Row and you have to watch your belongings, your temporary encampments, really vigilantly, and you have to pick up your belongings every day in order to avoid being surveilled and harassed by the police, then you're already interacting in a world where there's a tremendous amount of control, there's a tremendous amount of surveillance, there's a tremendous amount of mistrust put on you. And for me, and for my colleagues at our data bodies, what we see is more often than not, the technologies that form part of people's lives are about coercion. Coercion with a social system that doesn't give them the freedom and a sense of dignity and equality to live the lives they have reason to value. So for me, when I think about fairness, right, it seems off, right? This is a narrow way of understanding how technology interacts with our ability to achieve social justice, right? It's I think, in some ways, occluding the fact that technology companies are really big and they're really powerful, and in a really cynical interpretation of the discourse on fairness, it feels like it really, it sort of shifts our focus away from the power of technology companies and focuses on what seems like an easy to solve problem, discrimination or bias in automated systems. In a more generous interpretation of the fairness research and discourse in machine learning, I think that, you know, I can credit research on fairness in machine learning as really getting us thinking about the ways in which sexism, racism, ageism, and all other forms of difference that's the result of generations of oppression and domination. Right? I think that the fairness perspective gets us thinking about how these things are embedded in technological systems. But what I worry about is its solution sort of space is really kind of getting us towards this multicultural discourse that we've already tried to explore, at least in liberal democratic societies, and that doesn't really get us dealing with deep-rooted, deep-seated problems of systematic neglect of marginalized communities in our lives, right? And that it's just with computational problem solving that we can root out these root problems, right? So the biggest challenge for me is not how to make technology fairer or less biased, but rather how to make technological systems conform to the logic of a just society. So to be made just or democratic, it is not just up to computer scientists or engineers, but also to the ensemble of actors in the whole environment, right? That's venture capitalists, legal, finance, and marketing teams, ethics evangelists, all those who are unwavering in their belief that innovation must refer to the technical. These are the people that need to be engaged and need, I think, to be encouraged to reimagine the political possibilities and transformations of current configurations of political power. So when we do our work and our data bodies, we're really interested in transformative social justice, right? Thinking about how do you move from generations of systematic oppression, pervasive surveillance, a discourse that gets us thinking, oh, if we just have this one piece of technology, we're actually going to be able to solve many problems, right? To move away from that and think a lot bigger, a lot deeper, in order to transform systems of power. And refusal is one way that we have heard in the 140 interviews that we've done, people talking about their interactions with data collection and data-driven systems. So that has to do with ways in which individuals are trying to obfuscate themselves in relation to technologies that are becoming pervasive in their lives. That's hiding bits of themselves, right? Trying to disappear from systems. I think it also refers to the ways in which people have been trying to rectify data about themselves, right? That they are misrepresented in data sets, that they have a story about themselves that is or should be more accurately represented. And importantly,
just a quick time check. We'll have to wrap it up because we have the next set of presenters. But I promise you, we will be inviting you back because this is such a powerful talk. I want to be hearing more. Today, we are giving platform to many, many speakers, so we get a taste for every dimension, but we will have a more in-depth, but just wanted to let you know that we have to wrap this up in a minute.
Great. So what I want to say is what we're really interested in is this idea of abolition. And this is the point. This is the point of getting away from ethics and moving towards a social justice framework, that we can think about the ways in which not only do we develop or tweak or adjust a particular technological system, but actually engage in a debate and potentially challenge the very deployment of technological systems. That could be facial recognition, that could be predictive policing, that could be other kinds of technologies that again are tied to and extend systems of social control in the lives of marginalized people. So when I say to you, I hope that you would engage in more than just a conventional ethics conversation, this is what I'm talking about. And I would love for you to come and join us and think about how to really politically reimagine the role of technology in society and in the lives of marginalized people everywhere. Thank you.